So in the background, what you're watching is me finishing my final challenge to unlock the Damascus Camo in Modern Warfare. And now that I've completed all the various challenges with all 39 of the base weapons, I even finished off the challenges for the DLC weapons, I have a pretty good idea of several tips and tricks to help you guys along, as well as some common mistakes that you're probably making that are going to make this grind that much longer. So I'll be focusing on the 7 biggest mistakes that you're probably making on your current Damascus grind and tips on how to avoid them. So we're going to talk a lot about challenges, how some of them have some really bad descriptions and are not really helping the player out when it comes to completing some of them. We're also going to talk about launchers, long shots, the shield, the knife, mounted and crouching kills, among various other things. So if you do enjoy the video or find it helpful in any way, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you're brand new or haven't yet subscribed, definitely consider subscribing with notifications on so you'll be able to find your way back to the channel. So one of the biggest issues that I think a lot of people are struggling with is there's some specific details that are left out, some of these descriptions on some of the challenges. And as I go through some of the various challenges, I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bit more clear, because there are some issues that will definitely hold you back if you are not 100% aware how you are supposed to complete this challenge. You might even start to think that the challenge is bugged the same way that a lot of people thought that reload challenge was bugged early on in the game's life cycle, where it was almost impossible to complete those unless you knew exactly what you were doing. And personally, I think the lack of accurate descriptions is completely unacceptable, because if someone is not actively engaged in the CoD community, whether it's on Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, or whatever the case is, they're not going to know how to complete some of these challenges other than just trial and error. They might even think it's bug and completely give up on the challenges entirely. So we'll go through a few of those as we go through the various different challenges that I think people are struggling with. We're going to go and take a look at a set of challenges from the riot shield as well as the combat knife, and those challenges are related to get kills while injured and then crouching kills. And initially this one sounds self-explanatory. You run around, you take a little bit of damage, you melee somebody, you get the kill, and it should track. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And there's honestly matches where you'll get 12, 15 kills and you feel like, hey, you know what? I was damaged for probably about 8 to 10 of those. You back out and you end up looking at your challenge. It'll say you completed 1 kill while injured. You're like, what the heck is going on here? So I'm going to walk you through what you need to do specifically to make sure that these track every single time. So for the challenge to track, you need to be like under 10 health, which is a lot harder to do in core game modes, because you specifically need to be shot 3 or 4 times and then go ahead and commit the melee before you regenerate health. What I found to be one of the easiest things to do is to play in hardcore. In your own spawn, in your own safety, you go ahead and throw a thermite, walk through it and take a little bit of damage. And since in hardcore you will not regenerate that health unless you stim shot, you can go ahead and kind of sneak around, get your kills, and 100% of those kills will count as kills while injured, which makes that grind significantly more easy. So the next challenge that seems to be a little bit more difficult is the crouching kills with the knife. And this one's specifically an issue because it does not count sliding kills. At least from my experience, it did not count them. So one little workaround is you could still slide. You just have to understand how to do a slide cancel. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, pretty much how it works within Modern Warfare is that if you press the crouch button while sliding, it'll actually halt that movement and you'll be in the crouch position ready to melee. So how you'll have to execute this is you'll run up, slide cancel, melee, and then it should count. So the next biggest issue I think a lot of people run into is that they treat the launcher category as if it's any other weapon category. If I'm going to go ahead and grind out rifles, I'm only going to use that one rifle. I'm going to go through each of the individual challenges. Same thing with the SMGs, the pistols, the LMGs, whatever the case is. But that is definitely not how you do launchers. You should be starting launchers from day one, have it as part of your secondary, and focus on shooting down everything you see anytime it pops up with any match. And as I went through the launcher challenges, I actually thought the stripes camo was bugged, because in the description it says to destroy kill streaks, but those will not track unless you have cold-blooded in your perk 1 category. So now we got that part out of the way. The overall goal with the launchers should be to have all the launchers max level So when a certain scenario happens where you're going to be able to complete one of the challenges, you can switch that launcher and then go ahead and try to complete that specific challenge. And what I mean by that is there's two separate types of launchers, the two that lock on and then the two that don't. So pretty much what you're going to focus on is, depending on what enemy streaks are called in, you're going to go ahead and use that specific launcher. Odds are, if the enemy is using a chopper gunner, you're probably going to use one that locks on, because although you can hit it with an RPG, it is significantly more difficult. And if the enemy team starts calling in personal radars and counter UAVs, you're probably going to want to switch to one of those launchers that does not lock on, because those are probably the main things that you're going to be shooting out of the sky. So like I said, this is going to be done secondary. So as you're doing your SMGs, your rifles, pretty much all the primary weapons, you're going to have these as your secondary, and you're going to slowly complete them over time. If you end up getting towards the end and there's a couple left over, I would jump into ground war and just make that your focus. Pretty much anytime a streak is popping up, you go ahead and shoot it down. There are a ton of streaks in ground war that are called in. And on top of that, there's tanks that you can shoot at. And even if you're not delivering that final blow, you're still going to get credit for it. At least that's how it was tracking for me. Even if I land one RPG shot on a tank, it's still counted as a ground score streak. So that stuff's relatively straightforward for the launchers. The one that's a little bit less straightforward is the attacker and defender kills. I think a lot of people are going to tend to struggle with this because they don't realize how easy it is to accomplish it. So if you're struggling with these specific challenges, what I recommend doing is trying to get into a shipment domination lobby for the Joker. And if you're using any of the other launchers, you can do domination or hardpoint on shipment. Those will definitely be the easiest route. So what I'm going to do right here is show off specifically what you need to do with the Joker. So when you go ahead and play domination, you got to go ahead and grab the flags. The first flag that you're going to want to go ahead and grab is the C flag as well as the B flag. And what that'll do is force the enemy team to spawn over on the A flag. And when you take this angle, this will count as both an attacker and defender. I'm not sure exactly why it counts as both, but you end up getting credit for both. You can see the missile hits right there, but it will definitely get a kill. I was able to get multiple quad feeds and racked up like 32 of the attacker and defenders in a single match with the Joker. So the Joker was by far the easiest for this specific challenge. And hardpoint's good because the spawns are so bad on shipment. Literally, you could just jump into the hardpoint, launcher the floor. You'll probably kill yourself a couple times, but you're still gonna get those attacks and defends. The same thing, all you need to do with the launchers is continue to shoot there. People aren't running EOD, they're more than likely gonna die, and you'll be able to get those attackers and defenders if you're playing domination as well. And the next big mistake that I think a lot of people run into is that they're not adapting their playstyle to the specific challenge. They're 100% a run and gun, so they're not going to do the mounted kills, they're not going to do the crouching kills, they're not going to do other types of challenges that require you to play a specific way. And I'll be honest, the grind is long and tedious, and if you're not willing to adapt to the challenge, then you're probably not going to get Damascus in this game's life cycle. Maybe in year 2, maybe in year 3, but you're definitely not going to get it. So this is just something you got to be aware of as you go into the specific challenges. If you're not able to change your playstyle to accommodate the specific challenge, odds are you're not going to get Damascus. So normally what this meant for me as I was going through the individual challenges is that the second crouching kills comes up as a challenge, like 95% of my kills are crouching kills. Even if it's going to lead to me getting killed because I can't move the way I want to, that is how you complete the challenge. And a lot of the challenges are like that. As soon as you commit to them, you can knock them out rather quickly. Same with hipfire kills. If you're just focusing on getting hipfire kills, you'll probably get a lot of them, especially with shipment now. You can usually knock out most of the challenges in like 2 to 3 matches, which is pretty quick compared to how it used to be. So 2 more challenges that people tend to struggle with that I think kind of go hand in hand are the mounted kills as well as the long shot. And typically when it came time to do these types of challenges, what I would do is equip the field upgrade for the barricade. I'd post up in a specific sight line where I knew enemies would be at a certain distance, and then I would get long shot kills. And personally, I normally did this in ground war, but I know some people struggle with their aim, so a hardcore 10v10 might be your bet, where you only need to land 1 or 2 shots at the various distances. And that's another mistake I think people make, is they're not really jumping into the various modes that are going to be 100% geared towards completing that specific challenge. They might just stick with shipment and they'll never get long shots for sniper rifles or the rifles just because there's no distance long enough on those maps to actually accomplish that challenge. So if you're not willing to jump into some hardcore or ground war or some 10v10 on some of the bigger maps, it's probably going to be a while before you see that Damascus camo. So another mistake I think people can kind of get sucked into is not maximizing double weapon XP. What I mean by that is, let's say the max level for a weapon is 30. As soon as you hit level 30 on that weapon, you should be jumping to another weapon. And just doing that alone will save you several hours on your grind to Damascus. And one of the biggest mistakes that will hold most players back from going for Damascus or completing Damascus is caring too much about your stats. So if you care a lot about your stats, I would not recommend going on this grind. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please do me a favor and letting me know by hitting the like button. If you made it to this point in the video, definitely go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.